What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called Plague Lords, which has a demo out now as part of the Survival Fest. You can check this demo out. It's freely and publicly available. This is one of those ones that I actually have a little bit of experience with. I checked out the demo for this game back in February, I think was the last time that I played around with it. They did one during the Steam Next Fest or whatever back then, and I felt like it had a lot of prevailing UI issues and general just kind of explanation issues. And so even though I recorded a video, I opted not to upload it because I wanted to wait and see. Like, the feedback that was on the forums more or less mirrored my thoughts about it. So I came back and I played this build, and this build definitely is on a more even keel. I still have some thoughts about the way that the UI is arranged and the way that the game functions. But for those of you that have never seen Plague Lords before, this is honestly, it really reminds me of Warhammer Fantasy. It's got a very grimdark art style that I think is incredibly fetching. It's a very, very attractive game to look at. However, there are still some balance passes to go along. There are definitely some UI changes I'd like to see before I fully recommend the game, but we're going to check the game out for about 25-30 minutes today and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list. The game is slated for a Q3 release in 2022. With the overarching changes I think need to be made, I'm a little bit skeptical about that release date. Like, not that it's going to come out then, but whether or not that's a good idea. But let's dive on in. If after watching this video you wanted to hang out with me more, you can do that through the links down below for Discord and Twitch. And then, of course, the link for the game is down there, as I said previously. Let's go ahead and start a new game because we've only got about 25-35 minutes to play around with. All right. So the first thing we got to do is make our character. We have Albrecht. Ooh, we can change our portrait around. Yeah, I got to get like a good grimdark portrait over here. And as you can see, everybody is very pockmarked. Everybody is very wrinkled. Everybody's very scarred. It seems to be the sort of theme of the game. And it looks like they've added maybe some new portraits since the last time I checked the game out as well. I'm going to go with the guy that has the red. There we go. I'm going with that one right there. That's my guy. We're going to go full-on hell yeah brother energy right here. We're going to be the Appalachian Prussian Marauder. I actually don't even know where this game takes place. I think it's like semi-historical, so technically it takes place in the real world, but there are zombies everywhere. I guess I didn't really explain what the game was. Plague Lords is a survival tactics game where you're building up an army to fight back the undead while scavenging buildings, building a base, and doing things of that nature. There we go. Now you are aware so that there's some context to these things that I'm saying. Apparently, I'm addle-brained and doing a poor job at doing my tasks today. We also get to pick our class. We can be a sergeant, we can be a headhunter, we can be a monk. I don't really know if any of this stuff actively matters for right now for the demo, so I'm just going to go for a sergeant because I think having somebody that has some level of martial skill before we go up against the endless waves of the undead is a really, really good idea. I love the name Albrecht. That's a fantastic name, so I'm not going to change it around at all. That's just an all-around winner of a name if you're doing anything Warhammer Fantasy related, or kind of Warhammer Fantasy, I guess, derivative. Let's start the game off. Alright, so the first thing that I wanted to mention, at the beginning of this video, you're going to get a splash screen right here. When you play the demo, don't click on this. In most games, when you have a pop-up like this and you click it, it fades out and goes away. If you click this right here, it's actually going to minimize your game and take you to the Steam page. That's not really telegraphed from this. Ideally, what I would like to see is that clicking this does nothing, but there'd be like a little Steam button up here, like a little Twitter, little Discord for all the game's social media and whatnot. But if I click this right here, make no mistake, it will minimize the game and then add the game to your wish list or whatever. We gotta click the red X. Looks like an inn. At least this one isn't full of plague corpses and it's not on fire like the last two. Yet there aren't very many guests. I might as well take the best room. Let's have a look. Alright, so the game actually functions pretty simply. You have your party right here, and in fact, the little sprites for the party members, they do change based on what they have equipped. So if we go to the unit cards right here for this little regiment that we're commanding around, you'll see that he's wearing basically just like a gambeson, and that's actually on the character right there. If we were to take a look at Butcher over here, who is our party medic, Butcher is actually wearing chainmail, and you can see that he's wearing chainmail. Their weapons swap around depending on what you equip them with. There's been a lot of detail work that's gone into making the party feel very, very customizable, and I like that. combat aspect of the game. The first thing that's immediately apparent, though, when you load on into this game is that it has a very stark, very unique art style. Like, it looks very, very good. It's got kind of like a hyper-saturated, high-contrast thing going on that I think really helps sell the ambience and sort of the atmosphere of the game. The first thing we have to do, our first task, is we need to ransack the inn. So let's head on over there. Your party does have AP. I don't know... So the game is turn-based, but like when you get into combat, you basically just take turns auto-attacking each other once adjacency has been acquired until one party dies. I'm not sure how that's going to work once the game gets like bigger and larger with like lots of fights going on, because from what I've seen so far, my guess is you're going to have like 3 or 4 regiments of soldiers that are doing their own thing and kind of cruising around and fighting battles to like hold back the tide. But I don't know if the demo gets that far. I played for a couple of hours on the first demo, and honestly, I got stuck on the tutorial and couldn't advance it any further, but now the tutorial's actually been reworked, so you can get through it. If we step onto the inn right here, you're going to notice that we have some context buttons down here. We have end turn. We have ourselves a rest button. As far as I know, I don't know what that says. It says something in Cyrillic. The game is not fully translated as of right now, which is odd because I'm pretty sure it was fully translated the last time that I played it. So I'm guessing that that's a localization bug, and it happens from time to time with the different buttons. But this basically puts your party on idle, and it makes it so that their stats come back. That's really like where the survival elements of the game come from. Every single character has like a bunch of stats on their card. They have their health, they have their energy, they have their morale, they have their hunger, and they have their thirst. And so anyways, you got to pay attention to those things, otherwise it's not going to work out for you. We do have some water skins over here, which is pretty good. Inside of our inventory, oh, we started out overburdened. Beautiful. Well, I'm going to chuck that worn hammer then, because being overburdened, it limits the amount of AP that you have. We have ourselves some beef jerky that has multiple uses. We've got some bread right there. We've got a couple water skins. I haven't noticed. It hasn't, so when I was testing out the demo earlier, I was cruising around with like no food, and it didn't seem to really matter except for like nerfing my AP. The survival mechanics, I don't really know how much they actually affect anything. Eventually, I gave up on trying to keep the meters full and just started walking around doing stuff, and it didn't seem to have any real adverse effects. We'll go ahead and search this building real fast. Albrecht and the others begin to search the house. Let's be careful. Nobody knows what's hiding in the dark corners, an old chest or an infected villager. All right. One thing the game desperately needs to add, and what it doesn't tell you as part of the tutorial is... you see how there's like a little working gear around the building right now? That means that we're actively working this tile and we're not done yet, and the action is going to repeat. Now, the problem that I've run into with scavenging in this game is that you don't know when you're done scavenging. They will continue scavenging even though nothing else will drop out of the building. And so my strongest recommendation here would be they need to add a progress meter that effectively tells the player how ransacked a location has been, and they need the searching to automatically stop once you've found everything inside the building. So once that meter is filled up, you automatically quit searching, because you can waste a whole bunch of time and resources and everything else searching a building that's completely and totally empty. As of right now, you just got to kind of feel it out with your gut. It looks like we got an armor and we got a crossbow. Seen anybody? Not a soul. They even left the food. Shame it's all rotten. Stables are empty too. I wasn't even hoping for horses. I don't like this. Let's grab weapons. Okay, so the reason it said that is because it wants me to put a sword on Albrecht. He didn't have a sword. We've got a bow over here. We've got, I think he's got like a sword too. Good guess. Somebody's here. Maybe the guests have come back? Maybe, but I've got an arrow knocked anyways. Now, the dialogue in the game has all seemed to be very well translated. The prose seems perfectly fine. I haven't seen any major issues with spelling or syntax or anything else. But yes, there are going to be zombies, and I believe they are... Ah, there they are. Can I fire arrows at them from right here? I can. Well, let's fire some arrows then. And as you can see, we're going to brawl it out. And in so brawling, we have defeated the enemy. I do think that the combat in this game is a little bit too automated. So that entire thing kicking off right there was effectively initiated by the fact that the zombies got to adjacency with us. And so you just automatically start fighting back and forth. Your attack power of all the people in your party versus the attack power of all the people in their party until somebody dies. I would recommend they not do that, and they make it so that you spend AP to attack almost like any other hex-based game. So you're just like, whoomp, and you hit them, and they get their counterattack, and then you control the attacks, because that right there is going to throw people off and confuse them as to what exactly just happened if they don't have pre-existing experience with the game. And from there, it just makes the game feel a little bit less structured and a little bit more messy than I like. It's the plague for sure, but they stink as though they died a week ago. They fought like wild animals. I had to cut them to pieces. There must be an explanation for this madness. It looks bad, but I suggest we figure it out later. It's going to get dark soon. Let's not linger. We'll find a spot away from the road and put up our tents. Alright, so you can build a base in this game. That is a thing that you are totally afforded the right to do. I am going to loot these dead guys real fast, and it looks like we got a bunch of berries, and it looks like we got a bandage. People's health is not so great. I'm pretty sure I can use a bandage on him to fix that. We need to step into the water right here, and we need to drink as well. And as you can see, the thirst meter has been filled up. The thirst meter is going to enable us to get energy back, basically. We regenerate naturally. And then the hunger meter makes it so that we regenerate health. But if they go down to 0, all that I've really noticed is that you don't regenerate, and you get like half as much AP, basically. That's about as far as I've seen it affecting the overall gameplay. We need to get away from the road, and we need to deploy our tent. So we're going to go over to here, and we need to right-click on our camping supplies. Albrecht begins to pitch a camp with the party members. It may take some time, but people must prefer to sleep in a tent than out in the open. Yeah, so this is another case where context would be key. Having either a number up here of how many turns you have left until this gets built, or a progress meter would be greatly appreciated. So anyways, there we go. We've built our tents, and we've got our camp up and running. Not bad. Be careful with the tents, or we'll have to look for cloth and logs again. Maybe not. The Flemish camp should be nearby. I hope so. The Plague Inn is starting to look really attractive. Fine, let's bed down. I'll take the first watch, then Gwen. Butcher, you're on cooking. Okay. So your people need food and drink, which help them preserve strength and stamina. Try to stock up on everything you need before a long raid. Otherwise, you won't get far weighed down with loot. Your character's stats will slowly recover in the settlement, but only if there's enough food and water. If the settlement runs out of water, energy will not be restored. Sounds good. We got to go find the Flemish camp, I would think. Energy's a little bit rough right now, so I would say maybe we should, like, hang tight right here. And, oh, never mind. I think our quest, it said that we should go look for the Flemish, but we can finally eat something and rest. Beef jerky from our stores will save us from a burnt or over-salted supper. Okay, yeah, let's go to the camping menu. And if we have a log, and we have a water, and it looks like if we have a food of some kind, we should be able to relax here. So I'm going to do that. So the rest has been taken, and it looks like it takes 4 turns until that gets done. Now, I don't know if these other buttons are implemented or not. I tried when I was doing my test run of the game prior to this recording. I tried clicking on the buttons, but nothing seems to happen. And so I don't know if we need supporting buildings in order for that stuff to work, or if it's just not available inside the confines of this demo. But these buttons don't really seem to work altogether that much. So just another thing to keep in mind. We've got a busted crossbow right there, and we've got busted armor. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those. We're going to hold on to the berries. We can't really eat them or do anything with them for right now. But if we watch people's meters, they should go back up. There we go. The meters are full. Stop where you are. Are you plague-stricken? Do you have the spots? I don't have neither. Saints, I nearly shot you. He doesn't look like yesterday's corpses. You a local? No, I was passing through. I wanted some food for my trip, but then yesterday I saw how you dealt with the, Hey, they attacked us and we just defended ourselves. You don't have to tell me. I've seen worse lately. Your fellows weren't as lucky. Fellows? Soldiers, mercenaries. They didn't look like local fighters, so I took note. Well, it looks like you're going to be coming with us. Okay, so we've got to combine our parties over here. This is a little bit of like, it's not easy to pull off. This is a little bit of a weird UI interaction, and it takes like some getting used to. But basically, it's not really explained, but you can have multiple parties in this game, and you can split up parties and whatnot. But you can also merge parties, and the merging tutorial is a little bit confusing. Basically, you take a party, you walk them onto the other party, it's going to open up this menu right here, you're going to right-click on this guy to swap him into here, and then you're going to click on the green, and you're good to go. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like that doesn't sound that complicated to me. That seems perfectly fine. It's a little bit weird. It took me a minute to puzzle through exactly how to do it. Like, I figured you would just walk in and then click the green and it would combine it. But if it had the red, it would not. But you've got to, like, right-click on the character portrait to bring him over here in order to make it work. So anyways, it took me a little bit of fiddling to get it right. It was quite a fight, but only 2 or 3 of yours died. They fought really, really well. There should be 2 dozen. Maybe they split off from the band? Maybe. You'll see. I showed your healer where to look. It's all written down in the journal. It's very close. Let's go. We'll take a look and maybe we'll find out why they split up and where they went. Alright, so we've got our story and we've got our random quests. Story quests don't just progress the story, they gradually reveal various mechanics and influence the difficulty. It's best to prepare for any important mission, but you won't receive important survival tools without it. To complete a quest, you'll need to have the required characters in one party. All directions are linked to landmarks you're familiar with and are recorded in the journal. If you get lost, check your journal entries. Yeah, it's going to be up here. The other thing that I would recommend is, like, with this stuff over here, it stays on the screen for, like, a long time. I would instead have the green entries for the quests that we've completed. They should fade out, and then the ones that are no longer relevant should basically fade out, and then the one you're on should just condense down here to the bottom, almost with like a sift sort, basically, because having all these up on the side, it eats up a tremendous amount of screen real estate for objectives that you have effectively already completed. Alright, so Matthias pointed to the northeast of the inn. If these really are, hold on, what does the whole thing say? If these really are the remains of the Flemish stragglers, then we're on the right track. As I recall previously, I feel like in the old demo it gave you more context to the game. You are a band of mercenaries that has been sent into kind of like almost like a bohemian area that's been taken over by zombies and everybody's lost contact with it. And you've been hired by like the church or like the Pope or like somebody to go into this area and extract a dignitary, as I recall. Maybe I just missed it while we were clicking through like windows and things of that nature. It was probably on that big splash that came up at the beginning. But anyways, I got kind of sidetracked talking about the fact that if you click on it, it takes you to like the wish list page or whatever. Alright, so unfortunately the game crashed on me. It hung during an in-between turn. It just sat there like on a little hourglass, and so I had to restart it. The demo does save as far as I know, but we have a different arrangement of portraits and characters right now. They are effectively the same class. If you unfold this, everybody has little skills, basically, that they learn as time goes along. Our character's a sergeant, which means that he's good with martial weapons. This guy right here is a collector, which means he can chop down forests and he can gather berries and things of that nature. In addition, it says that, well, we got some extra loot, too, which is really, really nice. I'll 100% take that. But anyways, I think we've probably got a few hunger and thirst things we need to take care of. It says that the Flemish are down to the southeast this time around, and there they are, actually. We found them nice and easy peasy over here. So let's go ahead and search the bodies. Conrad's people? What's left of them? There's 2. Too stocky for scouts. They've got to be foragers. Their armor was torn away with the flesh, but they kept fighting. They're covered in scratches. One of them had a note from the captain. I'll copy it into my journal. When we find the others, we'll find Conrad. You can ask around town further along the road if you dare to venture in there. Okay, so it wants me to go scavenge a town. Unfortunately, our man Peter Worth is very, very tired, so we're going to rest for a minute on top of this pile of bodies. We're going to feed him, and we're going to, like, water this guy. There we go. And then we're just going to hang out for a minute until our energy feels better, and we'll deal with everybody else's issues as necessary. There we go. So resting for the evening. Everybody should be in okay of shape. Yeah, everybody looks all right. So it looks like somewhere to the east of the inn is a small town. Yeah, actually, with the random generation, this game is procedural every time you play it, and so everything moves around. So we've got a different map than we had even in like the first part of the video, but the village is right here, so it's an easy find. I'm not going to complain about the game making my life easier. We'll go ahead and wander into town. How is everybody's energy terrible already again? I thought their energy was already full, man. I thought it was full, man. We've got to scavenge some houses, I think. What does it say for the quest? Question the townsfolk. Peter is looking for logs. Okay, so we got to gather some logs. Does this guy already have an axe? This guy does not have an axe. Here, equip your axe. There you go. You're now armed. You can mouse over these houses, and it'll tell you what they are. You have a better chance of getting certain things from different types of houses. So if you go into a merchant shop, you have a higher chance of getting weapons, armor, treasures, things of that nature. If you go into a workshop, you have a higher chance of getting like wood and stone. Storehouses are kind of the same way. Poor houses have less loot than rich houses, and so like mousing over the top and just like checking is a good idea. I don't think I really want to turn the party. I'm going to go back out to the edge of town, and we're just going to rest for a minute. So I slept out in a river for a little while, and surprise, surprise, it did not do, like, wonders for my energy, I don't think. I think it took me 2 days to sleep off all of my fatigue. It's possible that, like, maybe I just didn't have enough water, I didn't have enough food, or something else like that. But it took a really, really long time for me to get my energy back. And so we kind of need to do a little bit of inventory management. Part of that's because we're, like, really, really overburdened right now, and I should probably, like, do something about that. I doubt that I'm going to need a wooden beam anytime soon, so we'll get rid of that right there. I'm not going to need, like, an extra crossbow, so I think we can probably get away with ditching that. We don't need multiple hammers, so I can probably get rid of one of those. I will more than likely eat the cheese just to get it out of the inventory. There we go. The cheese hath been eaten. We'll go ahead and eat a bread. And then we will eat a bread. But the downside to this is that we're definitely going to have to figure out a bunch more loot inside of town. So let's look at some of these buildings. There's a derelict house. We'll go ahead and check this first. And it looks like we can begin an adventure inside of here. So sometimes you get contextual buttons on these buildings that will allow you to do something different than just ransack it for loot. Pay attention to your taskbar down here for anything that pops up and looks interesting. So basically, for storyline related stuff, you click on this button. But for now, I think it's most important that we like scavenge up some stuff. So let's do that. So scavenging up stuff. Oh, I stepped out of the building on accident. Some kind of local ritual. These notes on the board are in the square. Looks like the townsfolk recorded the names of their missing relatives. The missing plague patients? We found a few yesterday, I think. Let's keep that to ourselves, around here at least. Does this town have a name? It's probably some dwarf or walled. Loss. This place is too strange for a simple name. Okay, are there any wealthy houses around here? A ransacked tavern. I bet we can get food over here. Yeah, let's get some food because I think that's what we're low on. Looks like we got a bucket of water. It looks like we got some beef jerky, so that's good. We got a bread, so that's also good. And I don't know if there's any more looting to be done here. We may want to step out into the road. We've got a merchant's shop, and we've got a derelict house. Let's see what we can find in here. I think the place is empty. It's got these little, that didn't pop up on the last building, these little exclamation points. So I'm thinking we might be wasting our time. What does this say? A ransacked merchant shop, abandoned poorhouse, derelict poorhouse. Okay. We're going to have to ditch some of this stuff. I don't think we need the bucket of water for right now. And then I think we can eat the bread real fast. Just kind of spread that around for anybody whose meter's a little bit lower than everybody else's. Because it's going to drain our energy because we're overweight, basically. What is this building? Another abandoned poorhouse. That's a storehouse. That's a tavern. Yeah, I want to loot the tavern. Let's loot the tavern. I want to build up my food stocks here. We found a pickaxe. So that's for our gather in case we find like an iron node. Looks like we found some like wheat or some porridge or something, and like a cheese. And it looks like we're done looting here. So I think that little exclamation point icon down there, that little tiny icon is what tells you whether or not the building has run out of loot. Instead, what I would recommend is that they put that on the building itself proper, like above it. So that pops up when you know you're done looting. What is that, an empty rich house? Yeah, let's go ahead and check out the rich. Actually, I don't know if we need to check out the rich house. I don't know if it's strictly necessary. I don't know. We'll loot it, and then we'll do the storyline. Yeah, I think this one's empty, too. A lot of these houses have already been gone through. I think that's probably why it says that it's empty. Let's do the storyline. Someone has really gone wild in here. The furniture is tipped over, and items are scattered across the floor. Robbers wouldn't have left so many goods, so the house was turned upside down during the fight. Let's see here. We can examine the scattered objects. We can use a Wisdom 5 check to find that there are no blood splatters anywhere. Or we can exit and save. Okay. Scattered objects. A barely audible sigh is heard from a mound of furniture. Someone tried to draw our attention when they heard steps and voices. There's movement beyond the haphazard barricade. A young woman sets out towards you with the last of her strength. Help. There's somebody here. Must have been hiding for a long time. Give her water. At least we found somebody. It's dead quiet outside. She needs food and rest. It's time to set up camp. I need to make an infirmary. We'll send somebody to find a few sturdy logs. Help her walk. She's too weak. Okay. So this is going to be one of those times where it would probably be wise to split up the party. But for now, let's go ahead and get her fed. So we've got her food situation taken care of. But I'm kind of like greedy when it comes to water and having it. So like I think I'm just going to walk down to the river and we'll just drink out of the river real fast. Yeah, there we go. Get some maximum strength Giardia going on so that we can really feel good. Oh, the sleeping symbol from when we slept in the river earlier is still there. That's going to be a little bug. That's really, I think, kind of like the thing with this game is that I really like the art style, and I really like the premise, and I really like the setup, and I really like the map, and I like the dialogue, and I like the music. All of the presentational stuff is quite good, but I do think the game basically needs like a bit of a UI overhaul and a lot of polish and a lot of bug fixing. There's just a number of things about this game that could be a lot tighter when it comes to the user experience. So like this inventory over here, you gotta scroll all the way through it. Instead, they could just have like a backpack button over here. And like you click the backpack button, and it opens up like a rectangular window that you can look at, you know, and these still unfold in the way that they unfold, and you can still, like, equip people. And then you would have slots in here, and, like, white slots mean that you have the encumbrance to carry that thing, and any of the items that are in, like, a red slot based on your party count, like, that's what's causing you to become encumbered, and then there'd be, like, a little icon on there when you're over-encumbered. There's an icon right here when you're over-encumbered, but by and large, I feel like the characters should be able to hold a lot more stuff. Like, that's my experience so far, is I feel like the characters cannot hold very much stuff. We did find a leather gambeson right there. Oh, that's got 10 defense? Okay. We'll probably just chuck that then. What does that have? That's got 3 defense. That's got 8. Go ahead and have him put on the leather armor, and then we'll throw that one out to save inventory space. The pickaxe is kind of worn down. And I feel like we can get another one, so I'm just going to throw it so that we keep our inventory nice and cleaned out. And the game wants me to do some more building stuff. She's a builder, by the way, the girl that we just picked up. And so if you have her equipped with a hammer, she can build supplementary buildings to your camp, which is actually kind of a cool thing. Let's go ahead and move over this way. Oh, there's zombies. And they have attacked us, unfortunately. Oh, well, fortunately for us, it was just one zombie. What did he have? Big old pocket full of berries? I'm trying to tell you, man, zombies out here are big fans of gooseberries. Let's go ahead and chop this forest down real quick. Couple of logs. I do like that they actually animated the trees falling down, so that's very, very nice. How's our energy and everything looking? Probably not great, right? Let's go ahead and over here inside the camp, we need to upgrade this to level 2. And so we can create a main tent right now with 1 log. And I think that only takes like a turn or 2. There we go. It's not the Vatican, but it'll do for a week or 2. That's a week or 2 longer than I'm prepared to stay here. Now the infirmary. Search the rich houses. I'll need clean sheets and dressings. So we've got to find more of these items right here, this cloth. We've already got 1, but I think it wants me to find 2. So we need to track down some rich houses and basically knock those over in order to get access to that stuff. The other thing is you can learn skills inside of here. There seems to be an RPG element to the game where you can fill out these guys' tablets in order to get more skills. I only bring this up because it said the game is scheduled for Q3 22 release, but there's still like things in the UI that basically have the default description, like marksman, general description of the class and information about what it does. And like it's missing like a, you know, it's missing like a little icon right there. Like I honestly don't know if that's intended or not. But now that we've got this camp set up, we can actually build supplementary buildings wherever we want. We got a little bit of a brawl on our hands. I wanted to come back over here and rest, though, is what I wanted to do. But it looks like we lost. So with our old camp, Can I put down a new camp over here? Yeah, put down the temp camp real fast. I'm curious. Okay, so it looks like we can rest inside of here, but we can't rest inside that one. And I do definitely want to rest. So we'll go ahead and take like 4 turns right here to get everybody's meters refilled and all their energy back. There we go. Everybody's back up at max now, so that'll make things a little bit easier. It also cleared out a little bit of our inventory space. I don't think I finished searching the inn up here, so I think that's going to be my next thing. It looks like it's got a red X on it, so maybe it's already been looted. What about that place? Let's see here. Albrecht and the others search the house. It's worth being careful. Nobody knows what's hiding in the dark corner. We found an interesting old cheese. Is that the old cheese right there? Okay. Yeah, we found the interesting old cheese. I don't know what's so... Oh, we found some coins, too. Nice. We found some water, and we found some more cheese, which is great. We found another water skin, which I'm a fan of. And I think this place is done. It's got a little red X down there. Yeah, I don't know what the difference is between the little red X and the little red exclamation points. I don't know what the difference might be. We'll continue off down the road here. We got to find a rich guy's house. Luckily, there's a farmhouse over here. I bet they have all kinds of food. I wonder if you can draw from the well. I don't know. Oh, our energy's already down? That's a bummer. Okay, kick out the grains. Kick out the water bucket. We will drink from this guy right here until it's empty. Oh, I already have the 2 cloths. When did I get that other cloth? I don't remember picking up that other cloth. Huh. Okay, well, let's go back and we'll build the building, since that's what the game wants. Yeah, so I think what's not explained here, I was kind of watching. Your energy comes back kind of at the rate that I expected it to earlier. Like, so earlier when I said that energy regeneration needs to be higher, I think when you're over-encumbered and you rest, you only get like a microscopic fraction of the amount of energy back, because this time around, I only rested like 4 turns in a row, and it was like chunk, chunk, chunk. Like, we actually got like fat grips of our stamina back. So, like, maybe that was just... there's a lot of things here that aren't explained, and, like, I've been feeling them out on the previous demo that I played for a couple hours, and I've been feeling them out in this demo for a couple hours, but it really goes to show that, like, unexplained things can really use up, like, a lot of the player's time just trying to figure out how a certain system works by trial and error and by observation. And so, anyways, at least we know now. That's good. We've already got the thing that we're supposed to have, so I'm gonna try and find a spot where I can build this. I think it's the hospital tent. It's called the Infirmary in the tutorial, but it's the hospital tent here. So... Oh no, dude, zombies. Get out of here, zombies. Not now. How is she, Butcher? Keeps muttering something about witches and gallows. That's normal for such a fever. Need help with your herbs? I'll manage. Look after the camp. All right, you're needed here. Gwen, you go take care of the newcomer. Let's not waste any time then. Okay. So our party's good to go. They want me to gather some herbs. In order to gather herbs, we need to take our gather and we need to find him a scythe. One of these buildings around here somewhere will have a scythe, and the tool that he has in his hand determines whether or not you can harvest a node, basically. I'm going to check these bodies real quick, too. It looks like we got a bundle, like a sheaf of wheat. Okay. Sheaf of wheat, probably not that useful right now. Let's go loot a couple buildings real fast, and then we'll come back and rest. How are we looking on energy and whatnot? We're largely okay. This house right here looks like it's already been looted. This house right here looks like it might be good, though. Oh, more zombies coming on in. The enemies do need to have like a red or a white outline or something when they're behind a building so that you can keep track of them and watch them. We got another sheaf of wheat. We are battling and fighting right now. We found an axe and we found a cloth. The zombies are now dead. I haven't seen us pick up any loot in the last couple turns, and so I'm getting antsy that I'm wasting my time. What did you have? You had a hammer and an armor? It's all shredded though, right? Yeah, usually stuff you pick up off zombies is like totally shredded already. And we already have an axe. There's some medicinal herbs right there. I'm gonna throw out the sheaves of wheat just to keep us from being overboard. It looks like combat is also really, really hard on your energy supply from what I can tell. Storehouse, you got anything? Found a rope. We found a level 2 axe and some nails. It looks like we found a toolkit, I guess? Is that what that is? Oh, it's a repair kit, so that probably allows us to repair something that's busted. Okay, we want you to have the level 2 axe. It does 13 damage versus the 10 that I think the normal axe does. But yeah, in condensed form, I think I've spent about 4 hours total with the game, and there's still like a lot of things that aren't fully apparent just from playing. And in general, when it comes to like a really solid UI inside of a video game or like a user experience, that info should just sort of be telegraphed by the interface itself without having to say so. Like the player should just like pick up on certain things. That's like the hallmark of a really good UI, is that things kind of flow from one point to another, sort of silently teaching you subconsciously without actually having to say it out loud. With regards to presentation, I think that Plague Lords looks great, and honestly, the game's graphics have a really good grimdark feeling of foreboding. There's ambience here, the portraits are good, I like all the icons, the atmosphere is great, the sound is good. It's a solid-looking game from the top to the bottom. It's very, very slick. The dialogue is brusque, but it is well written. It's the kind of talk that I'd kind of expect from like a hardened killer, like a man of few words in a medieval world that's gone nuts with like a zombie apocalypse. Like, I think that's definitely, it's believable dialogue, I guess. I think they're kind of at a spot, and the things that jumped out at me are largely around the usability of the game. So, like, it's hard to derive information from a lot of what they give you. I spent a lot of times in that 4 hours just kind of, like, looking at stuff and being like, huh, did that do anything? What is this? Like, how specifically broken is my equipment? Did the repair box do anything? What bonuses and malices am I getting to my energy from sleeping in various places? How much can I carry before I'm encumbered? How much can each character carry individually before it stacks up into a party? Does the strength matter to that? So on and so forth. Like, lots and lots of questions that, like, I was having trouble deriving the answers to. Like, how much damage total does my party do in 1 AP's worth of attacking? How much do they mitigate in that same time period? How long am I going to be harvesting this node for? And, like, in the case of trees, they get chopped down and fall over. And, like, you get, like, a little tiny exclamation point at the bottom near the loot thing when, like, a building's empty. But I think a lot of that information could either be made apparent or it could be telegraphed a lot better. So while the stylings of the game, I think, are quite good, there's a lot of additions that I think could be made to improve the flow of play. We did have one crash along the way, so I noted that as well. I think if they can get the UI and the technical polish taken care of and either get like a full tutorial in that's maybe separate or standalone from the main game, that's not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty of how all the systems work, or if they spaced out the early game a little bit better and made the missions a tad more in-depth explaining how each thing works, it'd probably help out a bit before they cut you loose in the open world. By no means are you going to be lost. Like, you're going to figure it out with this game in a couple of tries, but, like, it took me a little while to piece everything together that was actively happening. I do think the reason why I made the video, though, is because I do think this is an appealing idea, like a hybrid, real-world-based zombie apocalypse game in the medieval period with medieval mercenaries hunting down a missing dignitary in the middle of a zombie-infested sort of bohemian wasteland and extracting them for the Vatican or whatever while building a base that you have to defend from never-ending waves and whatnot. Like, that's a really, really cool idea. So, like, a large chunk of what I've seen here looks really, really great. So I am rooting for them. Like, I am hoping that they can get these things smoothed out prior to release. But anyways, my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Plague Lords. Tomorrow we will have something else. Thank you for spending your time with me. I hope this video was helpful and informative. And I'll see you tomorrow with something else hot off the indie skillet. Bye-bye, everybody.